If I had to create the ultimate guide for flipping properties in 2024, it would be made up of 5 key things you need to master if you want to be successful as a property flipper. And I want to give you these 5. Number 1, you have to become a master at underwriting and comping properties. Like, this is way before deal. This is way before all the other stuff. You got to get extremely masterful at underwriting and comping properties. Now, you're going to hear real estate investors use terms like underwriting deals, analyzing properties, comping properties. They're kind of used interchangeably depending on who you're talking to. So I wanted to just put underwrite/comp because when you're underwriting or comping properties, you are essentially, as a real estate investor, looking for very important data points. Number 1, you want to make sure that you're clear on what your total cost of acquisition is, which, depending on what type of flipper you are, you could be a creative real estate flipper, you could be a conventional real estate flipper. That means you might use hard money loans, private money lenders. You may be targeting distressed properties, pre-foreclosure. You may be targeting properties at the auction. So it really depends on what type of property you are targeting, what your acquisition strategy is. That will determine your total cost of acquisition. It could include the purchase price, or again, if it's creative like a sub 2 or owner finance, it may not be a specific purchase price consisting of what the bank is giving you a loan on. It may just be you taking over a payment, you're paying arrears, and other costs that are associated to it. But I want to know what my total cost of acquisition is, that's COA, and I really want to weigh that against the after repair value, because I definitely want to know what my equity spread is, as well as I want to look at it in light of purchase price against ARV, and I want to look at it in light of purchase price plus other cost of acquisition, what that total is, but what the total cash amount is against what the after repair value is. I put COD here because I like to add the cost of acquisition to my exit. So when I'm underwriting a deal, I'm not just looking at what it costs for me to get in the deal. I'm also looking at what it's going to cost for me to get out of the deal. In most cases, the cost of acquisition is definitely going to be, depending on who you are and on how you do business, your commissions to real estate agents. You may set aside money for closing costs or other concessions that you want to incentivize agents or end buyers with in order to sell that property quickly, especially if you want to become a master at flipping. So number 1, that's the thing you want to master. Underwriting deals, comping properties. You got to know the numbers. You got to know how to analyze deals. You got to know how to look at data points and put these deals together in your head and even on paper mathematically, so that when you do get to number 2, which is the second thing you want to master, and that is finding deals. How do you find deals? Yes, you can drive for dollars. You can virtually drive for dollars. But finding a deal is really finding problems. And those problems are going to be associated to certain properties. So you're going to find owners who have properties, and they're going to have problems. And if you're able to identify with those problems and see those problems as the motivations as to why they want to or either have to sell that property, if you're able to solve that problem, not just mathematically, but solve it practically by helping them get through whatever the issue is that they're having, that's how you find deals. There are a lot of people, especially people who are not as creative as some real estate flippers. There are people who miss opportunities because they just see the raw data, raw numbers, and they don't see the deal, because the deal may be hidden in problems or motivations that might be unrealistic that the sellers have. But if you're able to put a deal together by masterfully comping properties, underwriting them, and then solving the problems of the sellers, you've already mastered the first 2 steps. Number 3, you want to master having relationships with and knowing how to stay on top of contractors and the costs that are associated with renovating, rehabbing, or just simply repairing the properties that you want to fix so you can flip. Because I'm telling you, you get the wrong contractor, it'll blow the whole deal. It will literally blow the whole deal. Or let's say you get a contractor and the contractor says, well, it's going to take this, that, there, and the other on a repair level, but you find out deep into your renovation that it's much more extensive, much more expensive, and it requires permits or other things that slow the whole process down. It can eat all your profits, and it's even more compounding it with pressure if it's attached to hard money loans where you got deadlines, even some private money loans. So you want to make sure that you become a master at having relationships with contractors. I like to have contractors who would, to some extent, assume a role of a project manager. That's if I don't have a project manager on my team, especially if you're a full-time flipper and you're flipping like dozens and dozens of properties every quarter and maybe tens and tens of properties every year. We're talking about like 20, 30, 40, 50 properties a year. When you get to those numbers, you need to have a team, and you may have to take the pinch financially up front to have people in-house that you pay, or create a whole contracting business where it's all in-house. You don't want to be outsourcing this stuff, especially when you have that type of massive activity. I've seen it both ways. My wife and I, we've worked with a lot of real estate investors, many who have had small portfolios, large portfolios, who were just full-time flippers, who were buy and holders, who were somewhat in the middle. And we've seen people who've had their own contracting construction companies. We've seen people who outsourced it, and we've seen all the mess that comes with it. So all I'm saying is you want to become a master at that, and you want to be clear on what those costs are, because that will kill your deal. Fourth thing you want to master is having relationships with agents, and to some extent, you want to work towards building a buyer's list. We're in a social media world where you can already have a built-in buyer's list, so it helps you to determine where you buy and fix properties, because you know the flip will be easier. I know people who buy properties, fix properties, and then they flip them to buyers they already have, with or without agents. So that's something that you want to master. And the fifth thing, you want to master the capital gains, okay? Unlike buying and holding real estate, where you have cash flow, when you buy and flip, you're going to have capital gains. So that means you're going to be in a different tax bracket, and you may have to consider buying and holding some to offset the capital gains so that you can lower your tax bill. If you can just master these five, not only will you be more successful in flipping properties, but you're probably going to find out that you're going to make more of an impact in the lives of people that you work with, inside or outside of the deal, whether it's sellers, buyers, contractors, agents, or any other professional that you have a relationship with. So this is my ultimate guide. It's only a few minute cram course that I'm giving you. If you need more information, don't hesitate to click the link in the description. Feel free to reach out to me and my team. We have coaching, mentorship, regular courses and workshops that we host year round to help you become better in whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's buying and holding or if it's becoming a flipper. So 5 things you need to master: underwriting or comping deals, finding deals. That means finding problems, seeing them as motivations, and helping people solve their problems so that in turn you can acquire that property. Mastering relationships with contractors, working with them, knowing which ones to trust, where to trust them, and how to keep those deals tight and those contracting responsibilities concise so that you don't find yourself all over the place. All it takes is one deal to go left with a contractor and it's a wrap, okay? And stay on top of those costs, because some will fluff the numbers, some will pad it, but some won't. And because they're not fluffing and padding the numbers and they're giving you this deep discount, they start cutting corners on how they do the job, all right? Mastering having real estate agents who know they will be incentivized, whether it's with commissions, concessions, bonuses, and building an end buyer's list. Whether it's you owner financing that flip because you control and own the property, or whether it's you selling it to a homestead buyer through retail, of them getting their own loan, you want to build a buyer's list. It's much easier. And I've seen how easy it is and how powerful it is for a flipper to build a buyer's list and to literally have buyers on a list ready to purchase. They tell them what areas they want to live in. And when they find properties that they can potentially acquire, I know some flippers that will allow the end buyer or the potential end buyer to take a look at the property if they have it under contract or tied up in an agreement. And they will allow the end buyer to give them some idea of what color paint, what the countertops. And again, that's when you have a real close-knit relationship with agents and you have a buyer's list that trusts you. But it can happen. And then you want to master the capital gains. You don't want to just be making a whole lot of money, paying a whole lot of taxes when out of the 20 flips you did, you could have maybe bought and held 5 of them to offset a lot of the capital gains for the other 15 of those 20. And it could be 2, it could be 5. But master these, go back, rinse and repeat them. And if you have any questions or need any more information on what you need to do to become even more masterful with these, don't hesitate to reach out to me and I'll see you in the next video.